someone wanted to find out more information about the brain as a whole, or even from a neuroscientist type perspective, just how the body functions and how they can really adapt their program to include visualization and some other components. I mean, what type of advice would you have as far as where they would go to find more information?
The information is actually there in the scientific literature. What really happens is that people think that there's really some huge separation between things that involve movement and things that involve cognition, like memory, for example. But in the end, it's still the brain, it's still the circuitry, so those things are not so, there's not a huge gulf separating function when it comes to remembering things versus function when it comes to shooting a basketball into a basket. So the literature is there, it's just that it usually doesn't talk about athletics, and that's basically the difference. One of the good ways I've seen some of this being addressed is actually a book that was written by Daniel Coyle, The Talent Code, where it actually talks about how do you practice and what does practice mean and how it changes the brain. And it's written for a non-scientific audience. It's written for, it's a popular book, and that's a very good start simply because it's quite understandable without any high-level scientific stuff. But the science of the brain is the science of the brain, whether it's the science of the movement part of the brain or the memory part of the brain. The underlying biology is actually very similar. So for anybody that's really interested, they can pursue it by just reading about the brain in general.
Well, Dr. George, man, I really appreciate you taking some time here. I was just typing away with notes. I'm definitely going to be ordering that book today because I'm interested in this topic, to be very honest with you, and anywhere I can find out more information about how to enhance my athlete's ability to be successful on game day, I think it's really my duty to go that far and actually bring that opportunity to them. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy man, highly regarded UCLA guy. I can't speak highly enough. Man, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to share some thoughts and give us some information here about the neuroscience that goes into athletics and that side of competition type thing. I mean, I'm a muscle guy, so getting a chance to talk to a brain guy is awesome. If anybody had any questions about anything we were discussing here on the podcast, how could they go about reaching out to you?
Probably the best way is through email. It's gbar@ucla.edu. And since you mentioned the muscle and the brain in the same sentence, I should say that it is a good way to analogize the two. Most people think of their brain as being not a very changeable organ, when in fact it's even orders of magnitude more changeable than your muscles. And everybody knows, you do pump some iron, then your muscles get bigger. Well, your brain doesn't get bigger per se because it's sitting in the skull, so the skull doesn't allow it to get bigger. But what you are in fact doing is rewiring, and by rewiring, you're changing the timing, and therefore you're improving performance. So you're actually changing the brain much more than you're changing the muscles when you practice sports or when you practice basically anything. All those kids in school, that's why they tell you stay in school and all that, because you're really wiring the brain to be a better performer during your whole life. So that analogy is something to be kept in mind.
Well, Doc, I know you're a busy man. I want to let you go here. Again, I thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to share some of your thoughts and your experiences. Again, I'm sure I'm going to send you a couple questions here that I've had just from our conversation, and hopefully this is an opportunity to open up a door for us to communicate and help one another. If there's anything I can ever do for you, my man, just let me know and it will be done.
Very nice being with you.
I hope all's well, man. Have a great day.
Take care.